Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me, Sahami Pinard, for another session of AWRNSS, God, and Therapy. And yes, the shirt is available. I see y'all looking at it. It is on the Shopify website. The link is below. Go there now, press pause if you need to. Go get yours, all sizes available. But show everybody what we do. We go to God and therapy. We do both. We're not cutting out the amount of resources that God has given us to heal. So I had to jump on here and share this message that I got. You know God walks me through it before I come here and tell y'all, listen, do this. So I was sitting in traffic on my way to work during this week, and I'm in this lane going to the first exit, which I know I'm not getting off at. I'm not even sure why I stayed in it. And the lane is just getting more and more cars, people probably joining from the head of it. And I'm just like, I'm getting frustrated. So out of nowhere, it seemed really weird, but this huge gap opened up to the left-hand side of me for me to be able to merge. And for a couple of seconds, I just looked at it because I'm like, mind you, it's like close to like, I want to say it's like between 8 and 9. So there's a lot of people on the road, on the highway. So I'm not even understanding how this big of a gap opened up. So after catching my senses and not letting it close, I merge into this lane and I get to where I need to be. And I hear what God is telling me. The message he shared with me is, this is what I do in life, period. There are times where we are so stuck in a certain lane of our lives, forcing things to work, when God is saying, hey, I've opened up this door right here. Why don't you try this one? And you're like turning your back because you're trying to open up this locked door. Like, no, this door has to lock. It has to open, and trying all these different keys, and nothing's really working for you in that space. And God's like, hey, lights all over, the arrows point into it, and you're still like, no, I'm gonna be right here. This is gonna work. I'm gonna make it work. And there's so many different reasons why that happens, right? It might be, okay, this failed 1, 2, 3 times. This time it has to work. I don't want to be seen as a failure. I don't want people to think that I'm not good enough. I can't do this. So I'm going to force this to work. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe you've gone through several different long-term relationships or serious relationships, and none of them have worked. And you're now forcing this one that most likely you should end. But you're forcing this one to work. You are bending over backwards. You are compromising on things you used to stand firm on because this one has to work. But have you ever asked yourself, why is that? Why does this one need to work? Why does it need to work now? The other ones didn't work. You had no issue leaving the other one, or maybe it didn't end due to your decision, but you walked away, you moved on. So why is it now that this one has to work? And it's because we don't want to be seen as less than. We're comparing ourselves to other people's journey where it looks like it's working well for them. And we forget that we live in a generation of highlight reels. People on social media aren't necessarily showing us where they failed, depending on how you let your algorithm go. But a lot of people who are in these beautiful relationships, and I don't think we know a lot of the backstories. We don't know how many relationships they went through to get here. We don't know how many jobs told them no for them to finally get to the CEO position. And even within those positions, what are the battles that you're facing? We don't get those. We just see highlight reels. So now I'm sitting here comparing myself to a highlight reel, and I want to force this one lane to work to get me to the destination that I know I need to be at when it's not working. We don't look at the gap, the open door that God is providing for us. Because why? It might take some time. If I take this gap, I don't know what's there. But I'm here in this moment, and I kind of know how to survive in this dysfunction. It's not the best, no. Definitely have experienced better, but I'm here now, so why not? And that's such a defeating mindset that a lot of us take on, because we don't want to look like failures. Or maybe it's not even about failing. It's about, I really want this end goal, and you are a means to that. This is a means to that, so I'm going to do it. The end will justify the means. And that's how we end up even more broken than what is currently happening to us. We get to our destination. Okay, we forced the key to fit into the lock, and somehow it opened. It got us to where we thought we wanted to be, but we are so broken inside. So now, what do? You heal. You acknowledge, okay, this was not for me, but I did it, and here I am. God is not turning his back on you. He's like, I know. I saw it happening, but here we are now. What can we do? And he's willing to work with you. He's telling you get into therapy. He's telling you heal. He's telling you talk to someone. He's telling you let it go. And maybe you're not the one that kind of forced it to go. Do you realize that God left that door open for a minute? Because I was looking at this gap like, wait, why is there such a big gap in the middle of like high time traffic? And it was open for a while. I was like, yo, Zahami, take it. And as soon as I did, it started to close and more cars started to come. And this is what God does for us in life. He will leave the door open for a good while, and he'll try to usher us like, hey, look this way, take this, come on, move over. And hopefully eventually you take it. But again, there's always the fear of, well, what if it doesn't work? What if I do take it and it leads me right back here? And that may be the case, but I'd rather do that route with God, because who bets against God? Let's be serious. When has God ever lost? So I'd rather do that route with God, knowing that I'm protected he opened his door, so he has to leave it open, rather than taking this route by myself into something that isn't working, that's hurting me more than it's healing me. I see that with a lot of clients who are now possibly single parents or contemplating being single parents, because I wanted this thing. I wanted a child, or I thought a child would heal my relationship. And I've heard it from people just in general, watching things on IG, and they thought it would help and it didn't. So now I'm not only affecting myself, it's not just me, it's not just you, but now there's a kid or children involved who are getting affected by this, because you were trying to heal a part of you with something else that wasn't meant to heal you. And I'm not saying that it hasn't helped people. There are people who said, my child has saved my life, and that's great. But are you also now showing them that this is what we do? And when I say that, I mean this is how we react in relationships. People aren't good. Men aren't good. Women aren't good. What lessons are you possibly teaching them? Not in words, in your actions, because kids are always watching. What are you showing them when you are bad-mouthing men, or you're bad-mouthing their parent? They're going to grow up with this. They're going to react with this. But if we just take that gap, if we just look over and are willing, even if it's in fear, but with courage, take that gap that God gives us. Use that resource that God is leaving us. I know that if you take this way, you're gonna be good. You're gonna get to that end destination. It may not be right now, because we deal with impatience. Sometimes it's not even a fear thing. It's just that I want it now. We're in a generation of everything is now. I will pay the extra $5 a month because I don't want commercials when I'm watching my movie. I'll pay for it. Everything is Instagram, what is it though? 1-800-lawyer or something like that, where they get you your money right now. Everything has to be instant for us. We don't know the value of waiting. Patience is such a great thing when you have it, because it changes your whole mindset. I'm willing to walk through this knowing that this is the intended goal, regardless of how long it takes. And trust me, I've been there. I have been there where it's listen, I want to walk it, but I need a time frame. But sometimes God doesn't give you a time frame. He gives you a gap. And he tells you, take this. I'm not going to give you the whole plan. I'm not going to give you the whole direction. This isn't a GPS. But I will tell you, take this next step. And as you take the one step, the second step that God is telling you to take, he's revealing what the path looks like. It's not always going to be that I know I have to do this and lead to this, because things change. You make plans and God laughs. I heard that and I thought, no, God doesn't laugh at us. Yeah, I feel like there were certain times in life where God was like, yeah, I didn't tell you to do that at all, but it was entertaining. I entertained God with some of my decisions, with me forcing this to work, knowing I should have just let it go. Sorry. But have you done the same thing? And if you have, or maybe you're currently doing it and you're watching this video thinking, what can I do? Look for your gap. It's there. Look for your gap. I hope you're journaling. I hope you're in therapy, but look for your gap. Because God's created it. Is, are you willing to take it? Yes, it might be a little bit longer, but it also might be shorter than what you're trying to do right now. How many times have you heard stories of quote unquote people who it just happened overnight? There's no such thing as overnight success. I think by now we've seen enough videos, we've heard enough turnaround stories that it's never an overnight success. And I think I'm dating myself, but I remember Jenny Jones. A lot of you probably like, who the heck is Jenny Jones? Oh my gosh, I'm up there. And she was big on the makeovers, like people who were bullied in high school or junior high, and now they just look great, and they want to bring back the bully or the person that made them feel less than and show off their new things. You know, and it's like, there's no such thing as an overnight success. They worked for that. That was years of, you know, eating better, getting a stylist, like different things changing on in their lives where they can finally come out and say, I've done it. But that's sustainable because they took their time. Sometimes when we're rushing to get into something and force it to work now, it's not sustainable. You may get it and it may last for a short amount of time, but then it crumbles. Why? Because you don't have the knowledge, the skills, the behavior, the thought patterns in order to keep this going. Because if you're made CEO, but you're only on the entry level in terms of skill, what are you going to do when you get to the CEO position overnight? You are going to crumble that company. You may have great ideas for where this needs to go. I understand that. A lot of people are innovators. But do you know how to speak to other owners? Do you know about stock options and the worker's vacation plan, insurance plan, like how it affects bonuses if this happens? It's not just about the ideas. It's about you learning the process and the things you'll need to know for when you get there. Same thing with money. If you get a lot of money overnight and you don't have the right, the discipline and the respect of money that you need to have, you will lose it. It will harm you more than it heals you. How many times have we heard people who have won millions of dollars and they're like, I'm gonna take it, and they weren't ready for it, they're broke. A couple of months later, a couple of years later, like, how did you lose all that money? Like, what did you do? They wanted instant success. They didn't have what it took. They didn't have what it takes, to keep that. And it's not their fault. I feel like we as society have not done the best of jobs of promoting patience, of taking the longer route. When the Egyptians, when the Israelites were in the desert, it was supposed to be an 11-day journey. Like, God took them out of Egypt and it was going to be 11 days for them to get to the promised land. But God noticed their hearts. He noticed their thought patterns. He was like, if I give you this now, you're not going to know what to do with it. You're not going to appreciate it enough. And you're going to run back to your captors. Because that's what they were saying. They were there. They're like, oh, why did we leave? I can't believe Moses took us out of here. Let's just go back to Egypt. We can die there. And God was like, this ain't going to work. I need you to work this out. So it became a 40-year journey. And a lot of them didn't even get to see the promised land because God got so upset. He was like, you know what? I'm giving you the options. I'm giving you this gap and you're not taking it. And not only are you not taking it, you're building golden calves. You are idolizing other things that don't have the power to do anything for you. But here I am with love and patience and all these things that I know are good for you. And you're just like, yeah, I'm good. What do we think is going to happen? I really hope that you look for the gap in this moment. If you're saying, wow, this kind of sounds like me, like, great, and I'm sorry, but great in the fact that you are in the best position to acknowledge it and do something about it. And if you can't see where the gap is in your life by yourself, speak to someone. I really hope you're in a great community. You know I encourage great communities. Life was never meant to be done alone. You need iron sharpening iron relationships around you. You need somebody that will lift you up if you fall, keep you warm if you're cold, give you a word of encouragement when your own mind is against you. So if you have that, ask them, hey, this is where I'm at. I feel like I'm missing something. What do you see that I'm not able to see for myself? And have that conversation with them. If that's your therapist, maybe they've been saying it, but you don't necessarily, it hasn't connected until now. I recently had a patient that I've been with for, I want to say, going on 2 years or maybe a little bit more than 2 years. And I'm always saying self-care, self-care, self-care. Like, you need time for yourself. You need to show yourself the same kindness and love that you do for others. Like, it's not just a check on your list. Like, okay, I got a massage. I got my hair done. Okay, I got a haircut. I got a new outfit. Those things are great. If they are really ministering to your soul and replenishing your cup, great. But if they're not and you're just doing it to put, like, okay, cross a task off, then that's not the point. So finally, we're working through something else currently, and I don't know if it was from a post or something or just a conversation she had with someone, and she said, I'm starting to understand now that self-care is self-love, and I never saw it. She saw the two as separate. Like, I didn't understand that I needed to love myself the way I love others. And it's through these conversations that not only she was having with me, but with other people around her. She has great people around her who love her and see these things for her. So ask someone, like, hey, where do you see my gap? Where do you see that I need to kind of pivot? Because I've been forcing this to work. It doesn't seem to be going where I want it to. And I think I'm ready to forget what it may look like to others, but I'm ready to make sure that I'm good. So where do you think I can go? And have that conversation. We're here. Again, therapists are here because we want to be here. God is with you because he wants to be with you. But neither of us can force you to be there. Neither of us can force a relationship. We can only let you know, hey, this is what I'm here. This is what I can do. Are you willing to go on the journey with me? Are you willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is where I'm at? Because God blesses where we truly are, not where we pretend to be. Shout out to Pastor Michael Todd from Transformation Nation. That's one thing I took away from the many sermons that I've, kind of listened to from Transformation Church. Is you have to be real about where you are in life. Don't let the highlight reels take over your mind. Don't start believing your own hype, please. If that's not where you really are, cool. You want to put that out there? Fine, but do the work behind scenes. You don't have to let everybody know, hey, I'm suffering with this and this is where I'm at. If you feel you are called to do that, that's okay. But have trusted friends, have a therapist, have a mental health provider, something that you are being real with that is helping you heal and taking the steps and helping you take the gap so you're not stuck in traffic for way more than you need to be. There's no point in that. So I really hope this message is forcing you to look at where you're at. If you're trying to force something to work that doesn't seem to be going anywhere, that you're willing to take a step back and ask why. Because not everything is that it just won't work. Sometimes we're just taking the wrong approach. And again, that's where therapy comes in. Maybe it's your communication style. Maybe it's your thought process on this. Maybe you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. We can help you switch up all that. It takes time though. It's not an overnight success. So take the journey with us. Help us help you to know whether should I take the gap and pivot, or do I need to look at this a little bit differently so it does work and get me to where I want to be. It's a lot. I hope it's not too much. Again, if this message was for you, great. But if you know there are other people that this might also be a help to, share the link. Subscribe, put your little notifications on so you don't miss nothing, and help others heal too. We should all be doing this work. The stigma in mental illness needs to end. You're not crazy. Ugh, hate that word when it comes to mental illness. You're not crazy because you need help or talking to someone. If you had a broken leg and you used a crutch, would somebody call you weak? No. If you have diabetes and you're taking pills to help lower your blood sugar levels, is somebody saying, yo, ugh. Nobody's judging that, so why are we judging people who need therapy or who need to take medication for mental illness? All that gotta end. It makes no sense. Not in 2023. Come on, let's be real. But please, like, let's remove that stigma that you gotta be crazy to speak to someone. If you are alive, if you are of an adult age, I'm talking about like 16 up, and that's not adult age, but you know, you're old enough to have really gone through something, and sometimes it's even younger than that. There are children who have to learn how to express feelings and things that have happened to them, and but there are therapists for that. Walk with them, talk with them, do play therapy for your kids, because you don't want to grow up with this. It's going to affect the way you see the world. It's going to affect the way you show up. Let us help you. Go to God and therapy. Remember to trust your process. Trust God with your process. Healing is never canceled, and your mental health is always wealth. Thanks for joining.